Maury runs through fields, chasing gophers all day, his tail wagging fast in the sunlight's ray. They dive into their holes, Maury stands real still. He barks and he digs, but they're too quick to kill. Maury will hunt, but never catch those guys. Maybe you just want to see them fly. With a bounce in his step, he goes for another round. His paws hit the dirt, gopher's back underground. Maybe it's the chase that lights up his heart. He gives them a run, but never tears them apart. Maury will hunt, but never catch those guys. Maybe you just want to see them fly. They dive into their holes, Maury stands real still. He barks and he digs, and he digs, but they're too quick to kill. Each day he tries again, morning until night. His playful grin says he's in it for the delight. Maury will hunt, but never catch those guys. Maybe you just want to see them fly. They dive into their holes, Maury stands real still. He barks and he digs, and he digs, but they're too quick to kill. But they're too quick to kill. Yeah, they're too quick to kill.
Hello and welcome to another episode. Just to give you another location update. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and I think this one's going to be kind of a short one.
Yeah.
This is us leaving Kinnickinnick Campground in Port Edward,
British Columbia.
Yeah. So we picked this campsite. We like the name, but also it...
There's two places plus a provincial campground close to Prince Rupert. This one just had a better feel, just reading everything.
Yeah, it was nice. This video, it doesn't really do justice to the levels, layers of this place.
I think it was cut out in this. There's a giant rock, and they made a campground by cutting out the rock.
Yeah. But we really liked it. The owners of this place, absolutely fabulous. Really liked the people. And it was a really nice, quiet place. Really enjoyed Kinnickinnick out of Port Edward.
Yeah.
From there, this is kind of the area where we had made the decision that we want to start finding places that are a little bit off the beaten track, or places that maybe we wouldn't normally think about going. And once we left here, we actually have to head north before we can get back heading east. And we end up in a place called Ksan. And I don't know how you found this one. Was it a recommendation from your sister?
No, it was just on the list of things along there that you could see.
Right.
And it's apostrophe Ksan.
Yeah.
And it's a ancient... It's on ancient historical land where a village used to be.
Right. This was kind of a highlight getting to the place, is this suspension bridge, a metal deck grated metal deck, and so we end up feeling the trailer kind of swaying and the truck swaying. And I'm like, I'm not. Okay, we made it. It was fine.
Yeah, and it's over the Bulkley River. I grew up thinking it was the Bulky River.
The campground itself, when we got there, it wasn't very busy, but I was surprised by later that evening and into the next morning, it really got quite busy. There was a lot of folks that ended up at this campground, and it's just in kind of a big open field.
Yeah, and it's this part of the campground faces the Skeena River, and to our left is where the Bulkley and the Skeena meet, and that is a sacred area.
So the scenery in this place was just stunning. I just couldn't get enough of those mountains. Yeah. And if there's a river, Maury T-Dog is going to be in it.
He loves his water, especially on hot days.
Yeah. So this is the historical village, and this is right next to the campground. I don't know, from our trailer to this is, maybe a 3-minute walk. I thought we were going to be seeing a bunch of historical buildings, but it turns out that these buildings were constructed in the 1970s. This area was actually an art college or an art school.
They're still teaching. Yeah. You can't go into all the buildings because some are still being used. That is a dugout canoe.
Yeah. So the artwork was pretty fabulous, and tours, you can take tours and go through all the buildings to see what's going on, but really interesting place.
Yeah. This is really, that entrance is quite short.
These little buildings are ones that I saw a couple of them in the area. These are buildings that would have been constructed and put over top of the grave sites of the chiefs after they pass away. And I didn't know that until afterwards. I probably should have been a little bit more respectful instead of going in here and filming and trying to do a walkthrough through the window so I can get a hold of Libby out on the other side there.
And that's the Bulkley River, and across it is the provincial park. And this is all ancestral land. Yep. Even the provincial park is on ancestral land.
So from there, we continue heading east, and we end up down around Fraser Lake, but we stayed at a place called White Swan RV. This is something they ask people to only stay 2 nights because there's no charge to stay here.
Yeah, we got there early as people were leaving, and by the end of the night, it was full.
Yeah, first come, first serve.
Yeah, and stunning sunsets and gulls.
And the lake.
And you were?
Oh, I was out whale watching, but I didn't see any. I only saw you. Oh, I'm going to get smacked for that one. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. No, this is something that in the building decades that we've been married, that Libby does. If there is a lake and it's decent temperature, she won't hesitate to just go out and go float. But what I found interesting about this is when she went out and got up to her neck, Maury got really, really upset. And he started barking, and he tried running in to save her. But the problem is that, she stood up and he was fine because he doesn't swim.
No. And as you could see when I stood up, it was like up to my knees.
Yeah. So from there, we are down to Beaverview RV. But before we got there, we had to do a little pit stop in Prince George because before we left, your sister said, look, the thing that you missed, because it was done just before you got here, you got to come back so that you can mow the grass with our ride-on lawnmower. and so we make a trip back to Prince George so that...
I think it's a 380 or a 350.
It's yellow.
And it was in the shop, I think a blade or something. And there's a lot of rocks in that land. I think it was a make-work project, but I was clipping the tops of the white clover that was that land.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else,
fun.
If nothing else, your sister let us stay for another day, and she got her lawn mowed.
Yeah.
You look like a little pig in poo You're just so happy to be out on that lawnmower, aren't you?
Yes, and if you noticed, I had really good work shoes on.
We are currently at the Beaverview campground RV park, just outside of McBride. And if you watch closely, you'll see the little flakes coming down. That is not snow, not on a 30-degree plus day. That is ash. You can tell there's kind of an orange pallor against everything, as there is a lot of smoke in the area. We also discovered about an hour ago that our area that we're camping is at the far west end of an evacuation alert. It hasn't turned into an evacuation mandatory yet, but we kind of suspect that it might be going that way. We have another heat warning in the area, and the fire is out of control. We've been watching helicopters with the big buckets of water going over top of us for the last several hours. So we have made the decision to forego our extra $50 that we were spending for this area. And Libby, come on out here and tell us what we're doing.
We're going to head west. Hopefully we won't get stopped.
Yeah.
If at the very least, I hope we get to the Valemont turnoff.
Yeah, because then we can at least have another direction. Barring that, we find a way to turn around and we head back to Prince George.
Yeah, and we still need to get to Calgary for the 29th, and we go down 97 to Kamloops.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out. But anyway, we're going to play on the side of caution and get out of Dodge.
Yeah, don't want to be one of those people that the fire's looking at your trailer.
Yeah.
Or you can't bring your trailer because you have to go now.
Right. So yes, that was facing north the day we arrived, and the very next morning, same view of the hills, can't see anything. It was pretty crazy. And as we left, as we mentioned in a previous video, this is what we were seeing just off the side of the highway. So we left and we went to Obed Provincial Park, which is in Alberta, and boy, glad we did, because the next morning the highway was closed, and the morning after that, a third of Jasper was gone. So
yeah,
stopped off in Mount Robson like we normally do, and it was hot that day, 36 degrees on our drive. And this is Obed. It's just a very small campsite. There's 7 sites, first come, first serve, very inexpensive. Not much to say. The lake was close by, but it was just kind of a relief to get there in one piece. And from there, heading into Spruce Grove for some appointments. Not much to say. We like this park, the Diamond Grove RV. It is, right on the outskirts of Spruce Grove. It's just a big flat area with lots of space for RVs.
It's the RV park.
Yeah. So it was. I guess the summation for us about this was we didn't realize when all this was happening what was going to be going on in Jasper.
Yeah.
The next morning, when we were in Obed, that night we had some people that showed up, I guess about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we talked to them the next morning and found out that sometime around 12:30 at night, the park rangers had come and knocked on their door and told them it was time to leave. And so they left. They were able to get out by going east, but several folks, we ran into somebody when we were in Spruce Grove a couple of days later, and they weren't able to go east. They ended up having to go back west and then down through Kamloops and all the way around. Yeah. They had promised their kids a trip to West Edmonton Mall, so they're going to honor that, but they had to go all the way through Kamloops and then Calgary.
13-hour detour.
Yeah, 13-hour detour.
Yeah.
And then we found out a few hours later that the town was on fire. So that was very devastating.
Yeah, and we got out of there, got out of Dodge just in time.
And the thing that I really do want to say about that is very many years ago, I learned to trust Libby's intuition. She's never been wrong, honestly. And when she said, I just have a bad feeling about this and I think we should get going, I didn't even bother to argue about it. Even though we had booked into Beaverview for one more day, it was like, okay, I trust you. Let's just get going and play on the side of caution.
Yeah, I had my sewing machine and everything all set up, and I looked at the app and I'm just going, and then 5 minutes out of town, you saw the thing,
Yeah.
the fire. And that never was on the map, but it must have been. I think it was just a continuation of the one that was on the map. And,
But that was also the place, it was so close to town, it was really creating just a massive amount of smoke. It was hard to breathe, so it was good that we went.
Interesting. He had trouble breathing. Me, with asthma, wasn't.
Yeah. So that brings you up to date on this next part. From this point forward, for the next 6 weeks or so, we're going to be spending our time in Alberta. And we have a lot of campgrounds that we have wanted to see, or things that I had visited, many decades ago that I'd like to go back and take a look at. So our next travel update will be about that. And I should also mention that a couple of the places on this particular leg of the tour were the things that really solidified the need for additional power. And so I'll be talking about that in the next episode. So that's it for now. Thanks for joining us.